Hello, I'm going to give you some stuff on what I learned assembling the MGA windshield. If you look at this video or picture, you can see there's a chipped corner on one of the lower corners of my MGA glass. I was under the impression that was caused by one of the screws that hold the lower corner brackets in being too long. So I went to extreme effort to file off the ends flush. As you can see in the next picture, you can see how I got them pretty much exactly flush. In the next few still frames, just a layout of the work and some of the work in progress. I'll go over that, and then I want to show you something on how long those screws can be. I think they can be much longer than I originally thought. Okay, I followed the instructions from Barney Gaylord's website, MGA Guru, and several threads on MGA Experience, or the MGA forum of MGA Experience. Barney suggested I use a piece of cardboard, kind of sketched a diagram of all the parts and labeled the screws and punched the screws in. Next, I laid out all the parts and the tools I would need. I did need a flathead screwdriver for some of the old screws, mostly Phillips for all the new replacement screws. You can see the parts laid out. 2 wood clamping clamps that are trigger activated worked really well. I think these are 18-inch clamps. You can get them at Lowe's. I'm sure the other box stores sell something similar. And that's the only clamps I used. I had straps and ratcheting straps ready. I did not use any of those. So before I assembled with the glass, I did a dry assembly without the glass, and that's when I decided to make all the screws flush. When I got ready to reassemble with the glass, just to note that your windshield is really a curved trapezoid. The top is a little bit shorter than the bottom. So when you get that 10-foot long strip of rubber glazing, yeah, the 2 side pieces can be the same length, but the top and bottom are not the same length. I was in a panic that I wasn't going to have enough until I realized that the top is a little bit shorter than the bottom. So I went ahead and assembled it with plenty of soapy water on the glazing. I did the top and bottom, set the clamps in, and that went pretty smoothly. And then I started to do the sides, but just take a look here. I'll show you in the next slide how much space you have on those corner brackets. So look at how much space you have. I don't think I needed to grind down the screws on the sides. There's the bottom. And I don't think I needed to grind down the screws that came in from the side that hold the upper and lower corner brackets at all. I didn't really take it back off to look underneath the glazing to see if the top screws were the same. So perhaps the screws that go in vertically in the top and the bottom still need to be ground down to flush, but the sides I don't think are going to be a factor, at least not in the glass that I got from Scarborough Fair. When I get it ready to assemble it later, those screws, particularly the top side screws, are a factor, and I'll show that in a bit. Okay. So I got the windshield in. I basically just the top was sticking like a 1/2 inch over. So I just pulled it over, got the screw started. Now if you notice, the top screw is not in. Couldn't get the top screw to catch. Same on the other side. So I'm gonna look at some pictures, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get the longer screw from the bottom, get a couple of those and put those in, and that ought to bring that in to catch. Part of the reason why, if I zoom in, let's see if you can see, you see those 2 screws right there? Those are the screws that hold the bracket in on the frame, and I think that's of enough binding that it won't clear on over. So I'm gonna have to live with that. What I'm gonna show you right now, this material right here, the packing material, is 280155 on Moss, and it's G5P at Scarborough Fair. Anyway, it's about a 6-inch long piece. And you see when I set the windshield in place, it kind of moves. So I'm going to spray it down with some Simple Green, just any type of slippery soap, and try to push it back into place with this. as far as I can tell, it should go right underneath the frame right here. We'll see how that works. Okay, that took all of like 5 seconds. I just used, this is just, I went to the sink and stole this from my wife, and I just kind of wedged that up in there, and then I was able to push it with my fingers. The front end was pushed out the front, so I just came over here like this, slid this underneath and pushed it back that way, and I'm just going to try to center as best I can so this sits flush. And I guess the idea is that rain comes up in here and gets blocked from there from coming down inside the cockpit. This is not a real watertight car anyway, but we'll see. We'll make it work. All right, I'm going to call that done. I'm going to clean that up. Anyway, I got it as far as I could right down into that corner. And I just try to make it as smooth as I could. And then on the front side, way on the front side, I got it now where it kind of sits fairly smooth right there, so you don't really see it. And I got a good seal right down there, so I'm going to call this side done. I'm all happy with this one. Now to do the other side. All right, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this side. If you look at it, I left a lot extra here. So when I put this on, so basically what Barney will tell you to do is you build the whole windshield, and then after you get the whole windshield, before you put these side pieces on, what I would do is do what Barney says, and before you cut the rubber glazing that's on the glass. All right, I did that before I did this. In retrospect, I would wait till the very end. But so what I would do next time is leave the rubber glazing in place, leave these stanchions off on both sides, and then you can do what Barney says. You take the 2 screws out on one side. You can, if you look carefully, there's like a little daylight in there. Yeah, see if I can hold it just right. I don't see it right now, but anyway, right there, I think you can see a little bit of daylight through there. So this needs to be tightened up a little bit more. I'll get that later. But you do the 2 screws that are holding this corner bracket, and you can take this corner apart a little bit, and you can slide the rubber through. So what I did was I cut the other end at about a 45-degree angle, and I fed it all the way through. That's why the other side came out perfect, because it was already at the right length. This one I left intentionally long, and then after I built it all, I let it sit for about a week just to make sure that the rubber wasn't going to stretch out or whatever. Then I came back, I took the corner off again and got this length right. And now what I need to do is I need to cut this excess flat. So this should go right on the edge here. And I guess if in doubt, cut a little bit at a time. So what I'm going to do with my X-Acto knife is I'm going to cut like right about here. I know Barney says use scissors. I don't have scissors. I'm going to cut right about here. I'm going to make it a little bit long, and then that way if I decide later, I can come back and take off some more. Okay, there's the cut. It's sticking up because this piece here, what I say, 280155 from Moss, that's the one right back here, my finger on it, it goes underneath the frame. The front end is sticking out right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spray it with a bunch of stuff up in there, all up in here. And I'm going to push that into place using that same piece I did on the other side. Okay, I'm a one-man show, but this is how I did it on the other side. I take this little food scraper, go steal one from your wife or significant other, and I just kind of wedge it under this, and I may have to set the phone down to do there, maybe. All right, I'll tell you what, and then I push it in. Well, I'm going to set the phone down, but I just got that wedged into place, so it was kind of like a shoehorn, and then I just was able to just push it in, and this is slippery. Okay, just about a minute later, and you can see that side, the inside is in, the outside is in. I've got a little bit of a dimple right there, but you can see all that kind of went away. You want this edge to go butt up right next to the stanchion. I know some people apparently fit it underneath this rubber. I guess they call it a grommet. Mine's above it. I don't think I'm gonna get mine underneath it. I had, if I do the whole video, I had such a hard time getting this thing in anyway. I think that's the way it's gonna be. And I'll go show the other side. So this is what it looks like after I finished. So it's pretty smooth. That little part underneath, that rubber 6-inch part went in pretty smoothly. And this is what it looks finally assembled in the car. Thanks for watching.